Dave Cooper Live. We connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome to Dave Cooper Live. From architecture to taking actionable steps to solve the housing crisis, see how this persistent, pain-loving, passionate individual went from living in his parents' basement to being the founder of a home building factory, hitting DOE, zero energy ready homes, squeezing them into infill lots in underserved communities. And when I say squeezing them in, you need a lot of baby oil. Man, wait until you see how narrow these streets are. My palms are sweating just thinking about it. We're talking about local workforce development for industrialized construction and mission-driven development program, both providing a repeatable, scalable opportunity to revitalize communities around the world. But first, we got to give a couple shout outs. Thank you to our friends at Cobalt Creed, high efficiency, small duct heating and cooling and energy solutions, perfect for zero energy ready factory built homes, and our newest member, that's right, newest supporting member, HSBC 8CAD. Check them out. Let's hop into it. I'm Dave Cooper. You're going to love this interview.
I was living in my parents' house for a year, and I made these little architecture models, which I carried around in a shoebox. That was how we started. It was like, this is my idea for what I want to do. We had no idea how to run a company, what Modular was, but you got to start somewhere.
All right, everybody, we are at Modular's last mile manufacturing facility in Carnegie, Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. When I say right outside of Pittsburgh, we're talking 5-10 miles max. And standing with me is co-founder of Modular, Brian Gaudio. Brian, thanks for letting us come to the factory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is awesome. You just opened this factory, but this has been a long time coming, and I think it's really important for people to understand that this wasn't an overnight success. I mean, it's far from it, right? There's been ups and downs. When I met you, you were designing removable roofs so you could, stack. And if I remember, you went on this journey before you even got into this space around the world, trying to understand how to solve for affordable housing.
Yeah, so I trained as an architect, originally from Pittsburgh, and I was living abroad, and I said, you know what, I want to work on this housing crisis problem. I'm going to move back to my hometown, back into my parents' house, and I want to start a company.
I won't make any generation jokes on that one.
So, and I was living in my parents' house for a year, and I made these little architecture models, which I carried around in a shoebox. That was how we started. It was like, this is my idea for what I want to do. And that was in 2016. We had no idea how to run a company, what Modular was, but you got to start somewhere. That's where we started.
So you're back in Pittsburgh. How long did it take you before you had your first like real project or your spec or whatever it was?
We got into this business incubator program in 2016, got a little bit of money to prototype our product, but we didn't have any customers yet. Hallie, one of our co-founders, who you might see later, built this little backyard home office in a lumber warehouse, in a lumber yard, and we trucked it around the city of Pittsburgh. That was our prototype. Got our first customer in 2019, built a single-story house for them, and that's kind of how we got rolling.
That was the paneled house, right? It wasn't modular at first. That was the blue paneled house, and I think we have some footage we can put in here for that. And that was super, super energy efficient.
Yeah, that was
to a whole nother level.
That was designed to passive house standards. Benson was the manufacturer. So when we started, we didn't have the money to be a GC, to be a manufacturer. So we basically were subbing everything out. The architecture, the manufacturing, the general contracting. So we were very light touch. But we kind of realized that for us to truly make a dent in this, we need to bring some of those things in-house. And that's what we've done over the last 8 years now.
Sure. It ramped up a little slow, but then you started catching steam. You did those single-story homes that we got to walk through, I remember, was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah, a couple
about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of started catapulting you to working with some of these mission-driven developers.
That's right. We started working for individual homeowners. So if you were a homeowner in Pittsburgh, we would help you build a modular or a prefab home on your lot. But we said, we're not serving the affordable housing crisis doing that. So we had to convince developers to say, you know what? Developers that were building affordable housing to work with us. But they weren't going to work with us if we hadn't proven our product. So we said, let's eat our own dog food. We acted as a developer, built those 3 houses on Black Street that you saw, and sold those homes. And that was the proving point that developers started to say, you know what? I will work with modular. So now our focus is really these affordable housing developers that are working in neighborhoods that have been disinvested. And that's really why we launched this program called the Mission Driven Developer Program.
And speaking of eating your own dog food, you live in one of those today, don't you?
Yes. So when we were the developer on that project, we needed someone to sign a lease, or the bank was not going to give us a loan. So I signed a lease on the bottom floor of the first
That's
unit.
awesome.
And for 3 years, I was a tenant, and I lived in the show home. It was like Arrested Development when the guy lives in the show home. And I actually became a homeowner last year, so I'm now the owner of that house.
Oh, so you bought it?
I own a modular home now. So it's a big moment.
All right, so now we have these houses. Talk to me about the mission-driven development, how that came about, because really that's now been kind of your mission.
Yeah, what we found is a lot of these customers want to try modular. So these developers were working with actually a guy who was a building science professional, a professor at App State. He got into real estate development. We're working with a pastor in the Hill District in Pittsburgh who has a congregation, owns land, and he wants to start doing real estate. So we have a lot of these folks they're on a mission of some kind, whether it's affordable housing or sustainability. They don't have all the tools in their tool belt like the big developers. So we said if we could provide them some technical assistance, some design support them, they're going to do really great projects in their neighborhood. So we have, I think it's 8 developers that we're working with kind of regionally, some in Pennsylvania, some as far south as North Carolina, and in New York. Each of them are going to build some form of affordable or workforce housing, and we're going to provide some in-kind design and engineering services to them.
Right, which is additional revenue services for you.
That's right.
To keep things going, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Now with the mission-driven development, you have projects that you're finishing in the north side of Pittsburgh. You have projects over by your office. What part of town is that?
It's in Garfield.
Garfield, right? And we were there just a couple weeks ago, and those are still in the works. But you have a pipeline of stuff and other lots that are already starting to happen, to include where these are going.
What I've found is once you get the snowball rolling, and because we're serving this affordable housing market, there's a really deep need for that. And cities and governments are pouring resources, they're putting resources behind getting affordable homes back on the market. And I think there's a lot of room for us to run in that market.
There's a lot of modular manufacturers in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Right. Talk to me about where the pain point was where you said, we need to start controlling our own process, because now you have this work coming in. Why add a factory on top of it?
Because we love pain, Dave.
Should I take a sledgehammer to your head? No, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah, so we've worked with a number of different contract manufacturers, and we still work with a number of those folks. And what we found is we were always pushing them, hey, can you build, we build to the Department of Energy ZERH program. It's a little bit challenging to build to. And we do infill product. Two things that make it hard for a manufacturer to, make tweaks to their line. So we were pushing folks to, can you change this? Can you change that? We heard that so much that we said, you know what? Why don't we try to do it ourselves? We'll still work with some of these contract manufacturers, but for some of the product that is unique and special, let's do it ourselves. We'll become a better modular company understanding this process. It has not been easy. It is twice as hard as we expected it.
Yeah, well, it always is, right? It's no different than when you're talking to a builder that's using modular for the first time.
Yeah.
The first time is never a smooth process unless you have somebody like yourself or myself that's done it so many times on site.
Yep.
There's a learning curve. Even when it looks simple, it is not.
I agree. It looks simple, it's not, and a builder is thinking in a site-built mindset.
Right.
But one of the other reasons why we started this facility basically in Allegheny County is we had a lot of customers who said, I would love to build a modular project with you, Brian.
Right.
I want to keep jobs local. I'm getting funding that's supporting the creation of local jobs. So now we have a facility here in Pittsburgh, and so we can support their goals of keeping jobs local and still building off-site modular. So I think that's another angle of this facility.
Well, when you get into mission-driven development, there's grant money, right? There's people that donate to the churches or whatever else, and part of that is exactly what you're saying. How do you use the local community? Drew and I had a conversation earlier about that as well. How do you keep the community engaged? How do you not spend hundreds and thousands of dollars having to ship these across the country, but meet a regional purpose, right? How many modules out of here a year?
We could do 150 a year out of this facility.
So roughly about 50 homes a year out of this facility. And these are like micro facilities that can expand. So you can go to another part of Pittsburgh and open this up to meet that demand.
That's right. And I think we have a partnership with a group called the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh, which Drew may have mentioned.
He did mention, right.
And their students, we're going to hire our first student from that program to come work here at the factory, which is I think pretty cool. The idea that someone who's living in Pittsburgh can now work in the trades and come and see the off-site experience.
Yeah.
When we've had students in here, their eyes light up because they're young people and they may not have a car yet. So getting to this factory where they're coming here every day, I think there's a lot of benefit to if you're someone who's trying to make it in the trades to come to a facility like this.
It's always sunny and 70 in a manufacturing facility. That's what they say, right? You're not in the rain, you're not walking icy sill plates at 5 a.m., when you get on a job and busting your butt. There's a lot of benefits to it. All right, so we're gonna walk through the full production line with Drew, and Drew's gonna take us through all that stuff. Let's hear about the mission, right? And let's hear about your stickers too.
Yeah.
Because I love it. I mean, hey, listen, we're a PG show, but hey, the younger generation is.
So when we opened this facility and you saw some of the murals up there, we're like, you only get to open your first modular facility once. And we've toured a lot of plants.
Yep.
And we said, well, what is unique and special to us? So every Monday morning we have our values that we read off. So our mission is to build a world where everyone lives in a well-designed space they're proud to call home. That's why we get up in the morning. That's why we do what we do.
Right.
And we have a series of values that we want to live out. And so with our team, we actually have a kind of our quarterly review with each of our teammates.
Right.
And one of the things, in addition to did you do your job, did you uphold the values? So we have the values up on the wall. Be bold, show grit, and send it, or that's the latest one.
Send it.
We may have to bleep that out, but I think in our world, oftentimes, we're very thoughtful. Our crew is a very thoughtful crew. So, should we do this? Should we do that? Sometimes time is of the essence, and we have to just make a call, and it may not be the right call, but at least you made a call, and that's kind of what we're trying to instill with this.
You're empowering everybody within the module team to be a team and not an employee.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the goal with this manufacturing facility? The expansion, and then talk to us about the bigger goal of module and what do you see happening? Is this a proving ground for something much bigger? And is this something that you see going to other states?
Yeah, I see this as a kind of a micro manufacturing facility like you spoke about. There's a number of cities and states that are really diving hard into offsite. So the state of Ohio has hired a group of consultants to try to help them figure out how do they make it easier for modular homes to be built there. So there's a lot of demand, I think, from governments, and a facility like this where you could employ people, you could have on-ramps into the trades. I think those are the goals that they want to see. So our hope is, let's prove this out in Pittsburgh first, and then let's move that, have similar facilities in a couple other markets that are within the Mid-Atlantic region. That's the goal. Maybe even the mission-driven developers, they bring enough pipeline, they say, you know what, I want to open one of these in my community. So
they partner with you on it, and the concept, and put their own workforce in. And the idea is use local workforces everywhere it goes.
That's right.
Perfect. You guys are hiring, so let's talk about it. Tell me the core values again.
So our core values is be bold, show grit, hustle, and send it
right. Listen, if you want to work in a manufacturing facility, and I'm going to give some plugins here, is, you guys are not doing it the same way we've always done it. You listen to what the old school folks have said, but then you put your own ideas to it if it can be made better. Why don't you give your spiel on why you think people should work with you guys?
So I think at our factory, what we're trying to instill is the best idea wins. That's what Drew says. The best idea wins. We are basically a newborn manufacturing facility. So it's not like we've been doing this for 40 years and we have our processes in place. So a culture where people can contribute to improvements is what we want to see. I think on top of that, we just had our annual kind of strategic working session. So as a team, we feel that way. We are not a group of individuals, we are a collective. We're a lot stronger that way. So as far as module goes, you're gonna be working with a group of people who care a hell of a lot about what they're doing. Our customers care a hell of a lot about what they're doing because they're working in their communities. So I think that is exciting to be a part of. And I get excited when I go talk to our customers and see the work they're doing. It just gives me energy. So I think that's what you're walking into when you work at Module.
Yeah, and we're going to show you some of these homes that you guys are working on within the community. And we had a few weeks ago a chance to meet some of your clients and customers, and they have done nothing but sing praises. So if you want to work somewhere where you have a chance to advance, a chance to grow, and you're actually going to be heard, this is a great place to be. All right, Brian, is anything we left out? Anything you want to make sure you get across to the world before we bring Drew in here and we go on this tour?
I think you summed it up, Dave. So I'll go get Drew. I'll go grab him. But thanks for coming out.
All right, appreciate you, Brian. Thanks, man. Let's go on a tour.
Let's do it. So let's go find Drew.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Drew, where are you at?
Excellent.
All right, this man is going to take good care of you. He knows the plan backwards, forwards, upside down. So
excellent. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.